If you're over 60, let's pause for a moment and talk about something most people never mention: the silent erosion happening within your body. It's not your memory, not your joints, it's your muscles, the very tissue that keeps you standing tall, walking freely, and living independently. This slow, invisible decline has a name: sarcopenia. And for too long, we've been told that a cup of warm bone broth will somehow reverse it. But science says otherwise. Sarcopenia is one of the most underestimated challenges of aging. It begins quietly, often without symptoms, yet it affects nearly every individual past the age of 60. This condition is defined as the gradual loss of muscle mass, strength, and function, and it is far more than a cosmetic issue. Muscles are the engines that power every movement, from lifting a grocery bag to simply rising from a chair. When those muscles begin to shrink, life itself starts to feel heavier. The most alarming part is how silently this process happens. People assume that fatigue, weakness, or reduced balance are just normal parts of getting older, but in truth, these are often the first whispers of sarcopenia beginning to take hold. What makes sarcopenia especially dangerous is its slow, creeping nature. It doesn't strike overnight like an illness you can pinpoint. It builds over years. A subtle decline in activity here, a bit of muscle atrophy there, until one day even simple tasks feel like challenges. Studies show that adults can lose as much as 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade after the age of 30, and this rate accelerates after 60. The result is a reduced ability to perform daily activities, higher risk of falls and fractures, slower metabolism, and increased fat accumulation, which further fuels inflammation and weakness. This vicious cycle can lead to frailty, dependency, and even a shorter lifespan. At the cellular level, sarcopenia is driven by a combination of hormonal changes, inflammation, oxidative stress, and reduced protein synthesis. As we age, our body becomes less efficient at turning dietary protein into muscle tissue. The very signals that once told our muscles to repair and grow become weaker. Mitochondria, the energy factories of our cells, lose efficiency, leading to less energy production and slower recovery. Meanwhile, chronic inflammation, often from poor diet or lack of movement, further disrupts muscle maintenance. This combination creates the perfect storm where muscle tissue gradually wastes away, even if body weight appears stable. Beyond the biology, there's an emotional and psychological weight that accompanies sarcopenia. The loss of strength often translates into a loss of confidence. Movements that once felt effortless start to feel risky, and people begin to avoid activity for fear of falling or fatigue. This avoidance then accelerates muscle loss, deepening the problem. Many older adults experience frustration or even shame as they realize they can't do what they once could. But the tragedy lies in how society normalizes this decline as just aging, when in truth, it's a preventable condition if addressed early. Understanding sarcopenia as a hidden crisis means seeing it not as a symptom of old age, but as a biological process that can be slowed, stopped, and even reversed. Awareness is the first step. The earlier people recognize the signs: the gradual weakness, the slower walking speed, the feeling of fatigue from everyday movements, the sooner they can take action through nutrition, resistance training, and proper recovery. The muscles that seem to fade with time can in fact be rebuilt. The key lies in understanding that muscle is not lost because of age itself, but because of neglect. And that means it can be reclaimed through intention and the right choices. For decades, bone broth has been praised as a healing elixir, a natural remedy believed to strengthen bones, support joints, and even restore muscle health. It's comforting, rich in collagen, and has a long history in traditional nutrition. Yet, when it comes to combating sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass, bone broth falls short of the promises often attached to it. The reason is simple. While bone broth contains some amino acids and minerals, it lacks the critical nutrients required to stimulate true muscle protein synthesis. The body needs a very specific set of amino acids, particularly leucine, isoleucine, and valine, to trigger the biological pathways responsible for muscle repair and growth. Unfortunately, bone broth's amino acid profile is dominated by glycine and proline, which are beneficial for connective tissue, but do very little to rebuild or preserve muscle fibers. The misconception likely stems from the comforting narrative that bone broth builds you from the inside out. While it does support gut health and may improve joint comfort, these benefits do not translate into the kind of anabolic support that older adults require to prevent muscle deterioration. Muscle tissue is dynamic, constantly being broken down and rebuilt. In youth, the rate of rebuilding easily surpasses breakdown. However, as people age, that process slows dramatically, and the body becomes resistant to smaller doses of protein, a condition known as anabolic resistance. Overcoming this resistance requires higher quality protein sources that deliver adequate amounts of essential amino acids in concentrated forms, something bone broth simply cannot provide in meaningful quantities. Moreover, relying on bone broth as a muscle-restoring food gives a false sense of security. People might believe they are nourishing their muscles, when in fact, they are only addressing a fraction of their body's needs. The collagen proteins in bone broth do not contain enough leucine, the amino acid that acts as a molecular switch to turn on muscle protein synthesis through the mTOR pathway. Without that activation, the muscle fibers remain in a state of gradual decline, regardless of how comforting or natural the food source might seem. The body requires a deliberate supply of complete protein, rich in branched-chain amino acids, to maintain strength and function with age. In addition to its limited amino acid profile, bone broth is often low in total protein per serving. A cup might contain anywhere between 6 to 10 grams, far below the threshold needed to stimulate muscle building in older adults, who typically need at least 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal to elicit a measurable anabolic response. This means that even with daily consumption, the impact on muscle maintenance is minimal. The real tragedy is that people genuinely want to take care of their health as they age, and they turn to bone broth with good intentions. It's warm, soothing, and rooted in tradition, but when it comes to rebuilding the very tissue that protects us from frailty, it is more myth than medicine. The path to defeating sarcopenia lies in identifying foods that go beyond comfort, foods that actually activate the body's muscle regenerating machinery at the cellular level, restoring vitality where bone broth cannot. Muscle is often thought of as something purely physical, a structure that gives the body shape, strength, and the ability to move. But biologically, muscle is so much more than that. It is a powerful and active organ that influences nearly every aspect of health and longevity. Muscle tissue is not passive. It functions like a metabolic command center, sending signals throughout the body that regulate blood sugar, hormones, inflammation, and even brain function. Every contraction of a muscle releases molecules known as myokines, which act as messengers that communicate with other organs. These myokines have anti-inflammatory effects, improve insulin sensitivity, and even support cognitive function by enhancing blood flow to the brain. When muscles are healthy and active, they protect the body from the most common age-related diseases, including type 2 diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, and dementia. The concept of muscle as a longevity organ is one of the most profound realizations in modern health science. While many focus on the heart or brain as the primary markers of health, research now shows that muscle mass is one of the strongest predictors of lifespan and health span, the number of years lived in good health. Individuals with greater muscle mass tend to live longer, experience fewer chronic illnesses, and maintain their independence well into old age. The reason is that muscle acts as a metabolic reserve. It stores glucose in the form of glycogen, stabilizing blood sugar levels and preventing insulin spikes that lead to metabolic disease. It also supports the immune system by providing amino acids necessary for repair and recovery during illness or injury. When muscle is lost, all of these protective functions weaken, leaving the body vulnerable to disease and degeneration. Beyond its metabolic roles, muscle also influences hormonal balance. As muscle mass declines, so do levels of growth hormone, testosterone, and other anabolic hormones that keep tissues youthful and resilient. This hormonal decline accelerates aging, creating a feedback loop that leads to further muscle loss. Conversely, maintaining or rebuilding muscle can restore these hormonal signals naturally, helping older adults feel more energetic, mentally sharp, and physically capable. Strong muscles also stabilize joints and bones, reducing the risk of fractures and improving mobility, two of the most crucial factors for maintaining independence with age. What makes this understanding transformative is that it shifts the focus of aging from merely avoiding disease to actively building health. Rather than thinking of muscle as something that fades away with time, it becomes a tool to slow aging itself. Each time we move, lift, or engage our muscles through nutrition and activity, we're not just building strength, we're sending biochemical messages that keep every cell in the body younger and more functional. Muscle is, in essence, the body's internal medicine. It regulates, heals, and protects in ways that no supplement or drug can replicate. Recognizing it as a longevity organ means realizing that preserving muscle is not about vanity or fitness. It's about survival, resilience, and the ability to live life with energy and purpose, regardless of age. Among the most fascinating discoveries in modern nutrition is the identification of specific foods that can directly stimulate muscle protein synthesis, especially in older adults struggling with sarcopenia. One such food, often overlooked and underestimated, holds the potential to reignite the body's natural ability to build and maintain lean muscle tissue, something bone broth and other traditional remedies fail to do. This food is rich in complete proteins and contains high concentrations of leucine, the amino acid that acts as a biological trigger for muscle growth. When consumed, leucine activates the mTOR pathway, a molecular switch that signals muscle cells to begin repairing and rebuilding themselves. What makes this particular food extraordinary is that it delivers not only the necessary amino acids, but also essential micronutrients, like magnesium, zinc, and B vitamins, that further support this process. These nutrients enhance cellular energy production and reduce oxidative stress, both of which are crucial for maintaining muscle integrity as the body ages. Unlike collagen or gelatin-based sources, this muscle-supporting food provides a complete amino acid profile, the full spectrum needed for effective muscle repair. It nourishes the body at a cellular level, ensuring that muscle fibers have everything they need to recover and grow after use. Older adults often face a condition known as anabolic resistance, where their muscles don't respond to smaller doses of protein the way younger bodies do. This means they require a more concentrated source of amino acids to stimulate the same growth response. The food in question delivers exactly that, making it an invaluable tool in the fight against sarcopenia. Studies have shown that incorporating it regularly into the diet can increase muscle strength, improve physical performance, and even enhance balance and coordination, all vital components for maintaining independence in later years. The science behind how this food works extends beyond simple nutrition. It interacts with the body's mitochondria, the tiny energy factories inside cells, to improve their efficiency and resilience. Strong, well-functioning mitochondria are essential for powering muscle contractions and maintaining endurance. Over time, mitochondrial function naturally declines with age, leading to fatigue and slower recovery. However, the nutrients in this food help restore mitochondrial activity, allowing the muscles to produce energy more efficiently. This is a key reason why people who incorporate it into their diets often report feeling more energetic and capable of physical activity even after years of decline. Additionally, this food combats chronic inflammation, a silent enemy that accelerates muscle breakdown. By reducing inflammatory markers and oxidative damage, it creates a biological environment where the body can prioritize repair instead of constant defense. It's not just a protein source, it's a signaling food, one that tells the body to rebuild, renew, and protect. Its role in longevity nutrition is becoming increasingly clear as researchers uncover how it affects not only muscles but also metabolic health and cognitive function. When included consistently in a balanced diet, it acts as a catalyst for regeneration, reminding the body that it still possesses the power to grow stronger, even after 60. The connection between muscle health, mitochondria, metabolism, and independence is deeply intertwined, especially as the body ages. Mitochondria are the energy generators inside every cell, producing the fuel, adenosine triphosphate ATP, that powers movement, repair, and recovery. In muscle tissue, mitochondria are abundant and highly active because muscles demand enormous amounts of energy to function. However, as we grow older, mitochondrial efficiency declines. They produce less energy and generate more free radicals, leading to oxidative stress that damages cells. This decline directly contributes to muscle fatigue, slower recovery, and ultimately muscle wasting. The result is a feeling of weakness that many attribute to just getting old, when in reality it is a symptom of cellular energy loss. The food that supports muscle regeneration also plays a key role in protecting and revitalizing mitochondria. It provides essential nutrients like coenzyme precursors, B vitamins, and high-quality proteins that restore mitochondrial density and performance. When mitochondria are healthy, muscles regain their ability to contract with power and endurance. This improvement in energy metabolism ripples throughout the entire body. A person with stronger muscles and more efficient mitochondria experiences higher resting metabolic rates, meaning they burn more calories even at rest. This supports weight stability, reduces fat accumulation, and keeps blood sugar levels balanced, 3 pillars of long-term metabolic health. At the same time, better mitochondrial function enhances insulin sensitivity, allowing glucose to enter cells more effectively and be used for energy rather than stored as fat. This not only reduces the risk of metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes, but also ensures that muscle tissue receives the fuel it needs to stay active and strong. As energy production improves, fatigue diminishes, and physical activity becomes more sustainable. Movement, in turn, stimulates even greater mitochondrial growth in a powerful feedback loop. The more you move, the more your mitochondria multiply, and the more resilient your body becomes. This restoration of cellular energy has profound implications for independence in later life. Independence isn't just about being able to walk or climb stairs, it's about maintaining autonomy, the ability to care for oneself, engage socially, and live with confidence. When muscles weaken due to mitochondrial dysfunction, even simple tasks like standing up, lifting objects, or maintaining balance can feel daunting. But when those same muscles are fueled efficiently, coordination improves, strength returns, and daily life becomes easier and more empowering. The psychological benefits are equally significant. With improved muscle performance and metabolic stability comes a renewed sense of vitality and confidence. People who regain strength often experience reduced anxiety, better mood regulation, and sharper cognitive function, all linked to improved mitochondrial health and muscle activity. In essence, the body's energy systems and mental well-being are inseparable. A nourished muscle supported by efficient mitochondria doesn't just move better, it lives better. By optimizing mitochondrial function through nutrient-rich foods that activate muscle growth, it becomes possible to reclaim not only metabolic balance, but also the freedom to live fully, independently, and energetically at any age. Aging has long been portrayed as an inevitable decline, a slow surrender to weakness, fatigue, and loss of ability. But this mindset is one of the greatest barriers to healthy aging. The truth is that the body, even past 60 or 70, still retains a remarkable capacity to adapt, repair, and grow stronger when given the right inputs. The key lies in shifting perspective from resignation to regeneration. Aging is not a disease, it's a biological process influenced by lifestyle, nutrition, and mindset. Those who view aging as something to manage rather than endure are far more likely to maintain vitality, muscle mass, and independence well into their later years. This shift in thinking changes everything. Because once people understand that decline is not destiny, they begin to make choices that support renewal rather than accelerate loss. One of the most powerful ways to make this shift is through nutrition and physical activity that send positive signals to the body. Every bite of nutrient-dense food and every active movement communicates information to cells, telling them either to build or to break down. For decades, older adults were told to slow down, eat less, and avoid strenuous activity. But science now shows that such advice actually speeds up muscle loss and weakness. Instead, the body needs to be challenged and nourished. Consuming the right balance of protein, antioxidants, and micronutrients while engaging in strength-based movement reignites the cellular pathways that stimulate growth. Muscles respond to effort, and they respond at any age. This understanding reshapes the way we approach aging, not as a passive decline, but as an ongoing dialogue between our choices and our biology. The mindset shift also involves rejecting the cultural message that aging equals limitation. Too often, society reinforces a sense of fragility among older adults, encouraging rest over activity and comfort over challenge. But human biology thrives on adaptation. When muscles are used, they send signals that improve metabolism, brain function, and even mood. When they are neglected, the entire system begins to slow down. This adaptive nature of the body means that progress is possible at any stage of life. The same mechanisms that build strength in youth remain functional in later years. They simply need stronger, clearer signals. The food choices and lifestyle habits we adopt can turn those signals back on, allowing the body to restore what time seemed to take away. Perhaps the most liberating realization of all is that this process is self-driven. It doesn't depend on expensive supplements or impossible routines. It depends on consistency, awareness, and belief in the body's resilience. The human body is wired for survival and renewal. The muscles that weaken from inactivity can be rebuilt through effort. The mitochondria that slow with age can be reactivated with nourishment. The mind that fears decline can be retrained to expect vitality. Aging is not a downward slope, but a continual opportunity for optimization. By embracing this truth, people over 60 can reclaim control of their health, their energy, and their sense of possibility, proving that strength and renewal belong to every age.